This is CBC Winnipeg News.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. As floodwaters continue to rise, so does the level of concern in Peguis First Nation. Warm temperatures and potential rain in the forecast has people in that community on edge for what the next few days may bring. CBC's Santiago Arias Orozco is back in the First Nation today. And Santiago, this is a fluid situation, so updates are happening throughout the day. What's changed in the last few hours since you've been there?
Brittany, at least 3 road crossings here in Peguis are now washed out. All of them were dry this morning, but the Fisher River, spilled its banks during the day. I'm standing by one of them, the South Crossing. Now, this road is usually the first one to be overcome by water. There's not a lot of properties around here, but I spoke with Alan Spence, who's 83 and lives at another crossing that is now flooded.
But I sure hope they could do something with some kind of diversion or something, do something so it shouldn't have to go through this every year.
Santiago residents and volunteers have been preparing for this exact moment for almost 2 weeks. So how are people there feeling?
Yeah, there's a lot of emotions, worry, concern, fear, and frankly hope that all the prep this community has been going through will be enough. Sandbags and dikes are still needed in some homes, but officials say all properties at critical risk of flooding have now been protected. Here's how resident Ian Burr feels about that.
It kind of feels like we're prepared this time. Like other times it comes so quick and fast we're not prepared, but it feels like we're prepared this time.
Now we know the weather is going to play a big factor over the next few days. So do we have any update on evacuation so far?
Yeah, there is rain in the forecast, and that's what officials are keeping a close eye to, because depending on how conditions change, well, the evacuation plans might as well. We know that a handful of the most vulnerable residents from Peguis have left. Others in the priority list have chosen to wait it out, but officials say the next round of evacuations could likely include those living closest to the river. Doug Thomas is the spokesperson for the First Nation.
So Peguis is not the only community that is facing the risk of flooding. Where else is seeing rising water levels at this time?
Yeah, that's right. At about 120 kilometers north of Winnipeg in the town of Sherbrook, at least 20 homes are at risk of flooding. There, the Icelandic River spilled its banks overnight on Monday. Some of the trails are already submerged, and that's because the river has pulled over at least 8 meters over into the street. We know that water levels there are expected to be at its peak between Friday and Saturday, but officials say that with the rain coming in, there's worries that water would spill into homes before then. Brittany?
All right, everybody keeping a close eye on the forecast. Thank you. That's CBC's Santiago Arias Orozco in Peguis. Well, a new security measure at a downtown pool has people buzzing, and not in the way you might think. A remote door lock has been installed at Sherbrook Pool, meaning anyone who wants to get in to swim needs to get buzzed in. The city says the goal is to make it safer, but some worry what it means for the future of the facility. CBC's Cameron McLean reports.
Getting into Sherbrook Pool isn't as simple as it used to be. Swimmers now have to press a buzzer and wait to be let in. The city added a controlled entrance here in mid-March in response to safety concerns from staff. But for people like Atul Sharma, it creates a problem.
The door no longer swings open with the automatic device, and once it's unlocked from the inside, you have to physically pull it open. And because I'm sort of confined to this walker chair, I can't do it. And if I weren't here with my wife, I wouldn't be able to get in the door.
The city says around 20 incidents were reported here in each of the past 2 years, including threats, assaults, and theft. The union representing city workers says staff were dealing with people coming in impaired, sometimes leading to harassment.
And our members reached out and they were concerned about their safety in the workplace. And it's unfortunate that we have to do this, This shouldn't be happening at pools.
The security issues add to a long list of challenges facing this nearly century-old pool, which opened in 1931. It closed suddenly in 2012 for repairs, leading some to fear that the city could shut it down permanently. But a fundraising campaign by the Kinsman Group helped to reopen it in 2017. An ongoing review of attendance is expected to be completed next year, and some fear what that could mean for the fate of the pool. That concern is top of mind for people like Sharma.
I think they've made the decision already. I wouldn't be surprised. The problem I have with that decision is this neighborhood isn't as affluent as some neighborhoods.
But the chair of the Community Services Committee says there's no plan to shut the pool down anytime soon.
It is a very beloved pool, so I'm not seeing that going to be happening in the near future.
City officials say boosting security is meant to ensure patrons and staff feel safe using the pool, and that will help keep it operating into the future. Cameron McLean, CBC News, Winnipeg.
One person is dead and another in hospital after a shooting at an apartment complex Tuesday night. It happened in Inkster Gardens around 10:30 p.m., but police were still on site hours later. Police found 2 people shot within one of the suites. A woman in her 30s and a man in his 50s, both in critical condition, were rushed to the hospital. The man later died. Police say this was a domestic-related incident and there are no other suspects. Wildfire season in Manitoba is fast approaching, and a group of First Nation leaders are calling on the province and the feds to include them in the prevention plans. In 2025, 33,000 people were displaced by wildfires in this province, and First Nation communities were some of the most impacted. CBC's Mike Arsenault has that story.
Last year, 445 wildfires burned 23,800 square kilometers of Manitoba land between May and October. With summer on the way and a potential for more wildfires, Manitoba Kawatanawey-Okamakinak is demanding their communities be involved in the solutions.
Our leadership know what they need for their communities. The First Nations communities have the answers, and there needs to be a First Nations approach to emergency management.
Tuesday, the NDP government published an interim report about the 2025 wildfire season. It outlined steps taken since then to prevent wildfires, including system upgrades, equipment purchases, and budget allocations. Pimachikamak Cree Nation chief David Monia says when his community declared a state of emergency last year, the response was delayed.
When they declare a state of emergency, there needs to be an understanding of what are the next steps that's going to take place and how are we going to expect those resources to be deployed and to come and help us.
Monia says prevention efforts have to include First Nations advocates. Matthias Colombe Cree Nation chief Gordy Bear says being evacuated has long-lasting effects on the community. He says about 30 people died during evacuations, and evacuation centers can create unsafe conditions for his people.
We got introduced into drugs, we got introduced into a lot of things that are now they're flowing out freely all over the north. That's what we took home from down here.
Last year, Matthias Colombe Cree Nation was without power for months, prolonging their evacuation. Bear bought $8 million worth of generators and hopes his community won't have to leave again. Minister of Indigenous Futures, Ian Bushy, says his government has been including First Nations communities.
So we're having those conversations not only in the midst of fire season, but prior to as well too. So even being able to have them participate in the after action review, also being part of the fire season last year, so building on that into this year. So
Bushy says First Nations communities are most impacted by fires and wants them to be a part of the solution. MKO says emergency relief funds need to go directly to First Nation communities, and they need to be a part of support services like Red Cross and others. Mike Arsenault, CBC News, Winnipeg.
A man who admitted to sexually exploiting teenage girls has pleaded guilty. Matthew Musso was a support worker in school divisions at the time. An agreed statement of facts says he had sexually exploitative relationships with 2 17-year-old girls, one of whom was in court to see him plead guilty. Musso also admitted to exposing himself to a 13-year-old and to buying booze for other teens. He also recorded kids and adults changing at a public pool. Police found sex abuse materials on his phone involving kids as young as 6. The Crown is asking for a 28-year prison term. He's expected to be sentenced later this year. All right, let's bring Riley in. And Riley, everybody really keeping an eye on that warm weather, especially in those flood-prone areas.
Yeah, certainly, Brittany, looking back over the past, 2-3 days, cumulative temperatures like these, certainly not what we needed. We needed more of that slow, gradual melt to help melt some of that remaining snowpack, not this rapid warm up here that we got through parts of the province. As nice as it is, right? So 25 degrees in Winnipeg this afternoon, 26 in Steinbach, close to 10 degrees in Roblin into the Parklands, 17 in Gimli. So yeah, really helping to really rapidly melt what remaining snowpack there is, particularly in some of those higher elevations in parts of the west and into parts of the Interlake, which are dealing with some of that flooding at the moment. 2 degrees in Thompson. Attention quickly turning, though, to the situation in northern Manitoba over the next few days. We have an area of low pressure that'll start to move in. We're looking at a freezing rain warning in place for the Paw, Norway House into the Island Lake region. Snowfall warnings for Thompson, Gillam into Lynn Lake, and a winter storm warning in place for Flin Flon. I'll break this all down. This is going to be a multi-day impact event for parts of northern Manitoba, Brittany, and we'll walk you through it in just a bit.
All right, stay with us for that. Thank you, Riley.
You're welcome.
Today is Earth Day. Why some say Manitoba isn't doing enough to protect the environment. We'll have that and more after the break. Some former MLAs are trying to make our democracy stronger, and they're taking their crusade to Manitoba's seat of power, a building sometimes rife with heckling and partisan attacks. CBC's Ian Fraze joins us from the legislature where that forum is underway. So, Ian, what's going on there?
Brittany, a lot of discussions around how to improve our democracy and ways to get more people involved. A group of former MLAs booked a room in the legislature to talk this through. Members of the public were also invited. One of the main reasons for this forum, the ongoing erosion of democratic institutions. Marianne Sorelli was an NDP MLA.
We're watching, I think, with a lot of concern about the shift to a very autocratic, some would even say fascist system in the United States, what's happening with policing and surveillance and, the use of force on citizens who are protesting.
Based on some of my conversations, there was a shared belief that Manitoba is not immune to some of these threats. A retired educator says MLAs in Manitoba need to behave better.
I actually think it's fairly despicable, okay, and I think that people know better, and I think that what happens in here is it's become part of the norm, that people get caught up in the moment and they see it as I not only have to take a different position, but I actually have to make the other person look bad at the same time.
Former Liberal MLA John Gerard thinks we can get better outcomes with more voices at the table in the legislature. He wants proportional representation, saying it would lead to more Liberals in office.
Where we are now with almost a two-party system, and the two parties are very antagonistic and fighting one another, that the presence of a Liberal Party would provide for a little more even representation.
Participants say they hope the forum will bring up some new ideas on ways to improve our democracy. Brittany.
All right, thank you. That's CBC's Ian Fraze. Dozens filled the Manitoba legislature to mark Earth Day. While Manitoba's Environment Minister touted NDP investments, some at the event say it's not enough. The CBC's Bryce Hoy explains.
You could just feel the energy in the room.
Environment Minister Mike Moyes touting his government's record on Earth Day, like free transit for youth in the latest budget, protections for the Seal River watershed, support for wind power, and a new youth advisory council. All of it balanced against a recent pledge to ship liquefied natural gas through Churchill by 2030.
It's not a battle between the economy and the environment. You can do both. The other piece on it, I think that you can be efficient while at the same time being thorough. And we're always going to ensure that we're doing our due diligence for the environment.
Moyes also announced around $700,000 for environmental initiatives.
We think that really pales in comparison to the urgency of the climate crisis.
The Climate Action Team argues exporting LNG through the Arctic undercuts the province's claims of climate action.
Any emissions that are used from the export terminal or downstream when the natural gas is actually combusted would far outweigh any emissions reductions from the investments that have been made today or the investments that this province has made in climate action today.
James Bedham thinks funding for climate and the environment falls short.
I think we should spend at least as much as we spend on the roads protecting our ecological systems, protecting our environment. And I think most Manitobans would agree. So I think there's a real incongruency and a disproportionality of that, and that's what we need to see as those serious investments that are made.
The chair of the new Youth Council worries world events are distracting from environmental priorities.
They're just getting pushed aside. So I think now having this opportunity where clearly the provincial government is ready to listen to us is something that we're ready to take advantage of.
The Environment Minister says he'll outline Manitoba's planned path to net zero this spring. Bryce Hoy, CBC News, Winnipeg.
A student at a school in Grunthal was arrested Wednesday morning. Hanover School Division say staff at Green Valley School realized a student had brought a weapon onto the property and called police. RCMP confirm they did make an arrest. The grade 6 to 12 school was placed under lockdown as a precaution. The division tells CBC it won't provide more information or say what type of weapon it was. Manitoba's Justice Department is hiring a team to collect unpaid fines instead of asking a collection agency to do it. Right now, the province gets a private company to seek payment on overdue justice fines like speeding tickets. It says that agency earns an 18% commission. The Justice Minister says that's too much and he wants to ditch them.
In Manitoba right now, the money's going to a private company, to private collection agencies. We know that if we bring it in-house, we can be more effective and we can collect more of those fines.
He says the government would have the power to ensure people pay their fines, saying, for example, it could choose to block driver license renewals until penalties are settled.
Busy night in the Weather Centre, busy few days ahead as well, with an area of low pressure that'll have a fairly broad impact, significant impact on parts of northern Manitoba. Looking at satellite and radar, we have started to see some of the cloud cover associated with this low starting to push in, a few scattered showers into parts of the Interlake and parts of western Manitoba. The thing is, I'm not expecting any major accumulations in the southern half of the province, so that does bode well for the flood situation in parts of the Interlake, aside from the chance of a few scattered showers or a couple of rumbles of thunder, but really the story will be northern Manitoba as we head through the next few days here. So Futurecast depicting that risk of a thunderstorm in southeastern Manitoba and northwestern Ontario overnight, but by the time we get into the early morning, we are looking at some mixed precipitation or some freezing rain starting to push into northern Manitoba. This particular forecast model depicting that around 5, 6 in the morning around Flin Flon and along Highway 6 toward Thompson, and that snow line a little bit further north as we get this collision between some of that warmer air to the south with some of that cooler air closer to the surface in parts of northern Manitoba, which haven't been as warm as the south. So that risk of freezing rain carries us really from Flin Flon to Pas. Swan River has a slim chance of some of that. I think temperatures will be warm enough, but that risk carries us right across into the Island Lake region, with that snow more pronounced in places like Thompson and Lynn Lake, where this will be a significant snowfall as we get through the next several days here. In southern Manitoba, really rinse and repeat to today. Add in the risk of a thunderstorm or some scattered showers, but really that's the only impacts that we'll see really across the south as we get through the next few days. And as this low goes into retrograde and starts to push a little bit further west, once again, it drags all that snow and wraps it around as well. So we are looking at a multi-day snow event in parts of northern Manitoba. This will mean poor visibility, poor driving conditions, and some very slippery conditions likely, where we have some of this starting as either some mixed precipitation or some freezing rain in parts of central Manitoba. Further north, places like Lynn Lake, potentially looking at up to or exceeding 50 centimeters of snow, more like 20 to 30 through Flin Flon into Thompson, and that risk of scattered showers or some thunderstorms into parts of southern Manitoba. So here's a look at some of the numbers snowfall-wise, looking at the potential 20 to 30 centimeters through Thompson into Flin Flon. This is going to create some very dicey driving conditions, not just over the next couple of days, but lasting into the weekend before we start to get a real break from this weather and some of those extreme amounts into parts of northwestern Manitoba. Along with this, some very windy conditions as well. The potential there into parts of northern Manitoba of some gusts up to 60 or even 70 kilometers an hour, taking us through Thursday into Friday, Brittany, and some breezy conditions in the south. We'll have your 7-day forecast for you coming up a bit later on.
Thank you, Riley.
You're welcome.
Well, the snow is coming to some parts, but here is a sunny shot of Winnipeg as we head to break. We're back right after this. Sources tell Radio Canada the Trump administration is demanding Canada make concessions in order to even have access to formal trade talks on CUSMA, the Canada-United States-Mexico Free Trade Agreement. Ashley Burke has those details from Ottawa.
The Prime Minister's facing a list of concessions from Donald Trump's team. Sources tell Radio Canada it's the cost of entry if Canada wants to enter formal trade talks with the U.S.
It's not a case of the United States dictates the terms. We have the negotiation. We can come to a mutually successful outcome.
North America's free trade deal is up for review in July. The U.S. already gave Mexico a date to sit down at the table, but not Canada.
If we can get some changes in Canadian trade practices, it's going to help me get over the political hump that we face here in the United States. So I think there are things that can be done.
The U.S. published a list of those things online. A Canadian official says a smaller subset of the list is what American officials are pushing behind closed doors. A big one, putting American alcohol back on Canadian shelves.
We're kind of at the end of our rope in just asking for them to do this.
Most provinces stripped American booze from its stores last year, an act of retaliation against Trump's tariffs and threats.
It is outrageous that Canada will not put U.S. spirits on the shelf. It is insulting.
I'm sorry, folks, I don't trust President Trump.
Ontario's premier says there's no way his province is selling American alcohol unless Trump drops his tariffs and the free trade review is done.
You never roll over to a bully. You confront him head on. One of our tools is alcohol.
Canada's already made concessions for Trump. It beefed up border security, dropped many retaliatory tariffs and the digital sales tax. But Canada's minister in charge of talks with the Americans say there are limits.
We're not going to make a series of concessions just to get to a table and have a statement appear on a website in the United States to then receive a whole second list of things that they're going to want.
Dominic LeBlanc says that he's not pessimistic about making progress on the Americans list, but says in return he wants to talk about tariff relief for Canadian sectors. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Ottawa.
Meantime, the Trump administration has had a long-standing gripe over wanting greater access into Canada's dairy market. It came up again when the Commerce Secretary appeared before a U.S. Senate subcommittee. Here's part of a tense exchange he had with a New Hampshire senator.
Dairy is treated so badly, and your state cares about dairy, and we are trying desperately to get them to live to the deal that they have on USMCA and stop treating our dairy farmers so poorly, and your state cares about that, and we are fighting for that.
We do, but we are not going to get agreement when we keep insulting people. When we have allies and partners, we should try and work with them, not insult them. And I find your rhetoric insulting to the people in my state who are working so hard to try and ensure that they can do business.
Tensions have escalated between the U.S. and Iran over the Strait of Hormuz. For the first time since fighting began in February, Iran has seized cargo ships in the critical waterway. And as Katie Nicholson reports, that's complicating efforts to resume negotiations between the two countries.
An escalation of tactics in the Strait of Hormuz as Iran's Revolutionary Guards fired on 3 boats and seized 2 of them, making good on threats to take military action if the U.S. blockade of Iran's ports and vessels moving goods in and out of the country didn't end. This comes after the U.S. seized 2 ships, a cargo ship on the weekend and an oil tanker Tuesday in the Indian Ocean. Iran has demanded the U.S. end the blockade, and some Iranian officials have said they want it to end before they sit down for a second round of negotiations. Iran's parliamentary speaker posting on X, a complete ceasefire only makes sense if it is not violated by the maritime blockade and the hostage-taking of the world's economy. He goes on to say reopening the Strait of Hormuz is impossible with such a flagrant breach of the ceasefire. The U.S. and Iran had been expected to meet in Islamabad for a second round of talks on a wider agreement to end the hostilities as the 2-week ceasefire between them was about to expire. But last night, the U.S. president announced he would extend the ceasefire to give Iran more time to come up with a unified peace proposal, suggesting Iran's government was seriously fractured. There have been conflicting reports around how long the U.S. intends to extend this ceasefire and its military blockade. The White House press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, responded to questions about those timelines today.
I'm not going to set a timetable for the president. He has not done that, and I won't. I know there's been some anonymous sourced reporting that there was maybe a 3 to 5 day deadline. That is not true. The president has not set a deadline himself. Ultimately, he will dictate the timetable. And again, he is satisfied with the naval blockade, and he understands that Iran is in a very weak position, and the cards are in President Trump's hands right now.
As this conflict stretches past 7 weeks, the Pentagon has released new information on the toll the fighting has taken. It says the number of U.S. military personnel wounded in Operation Epic Fury now stands at 400. Katie Nicholson, CBC News, Washington.
Meantime, another Canadian airline is cutting the number of flights it'll operate this summer. Air Transat says it's due to the soaring cost of jet fuel in the wake of the war with Iran. A plight also impacting carriers and travelers beyond our borders. The CBC's Anis Haidari reports.
Higher jet fuel costs now mean fewer flight options, with airlines both around the world and here in Canada cutting summer flights. Air Transat partly blaming high fuel costs for a 6% cut to its flight capacity. WestJet and Air Canada also cutting back in recent weeks. And now German airline Lufthansa will cut 20,000 flights through October. This all likely means pricier tickets, especially for a trip to Europe, says this travel agent.
As they consolidate those flights, it's going to mean that while demand stays the same, the inventory is dropping. And so those prices are going to go up much faster.
Compared to before the war in Iran, jet fuel costs are hovering around double the price, and sometimes higher. Those high costs, an ongoing consequence of the ongoing blockades at the Strait of Hormuz. But with high demand for flights and a low supply of fuel, energy experts say there aren't many options.
So it's all about destroying demand. We're not quite to the point where jet fuel is running out. The price has gone up, that is destroying demand, and that has to be part of the solution in the short to medium term.
The European Union says it's going to work to make sure there is enough fuel.
We will step up action to ensure that the supply of fuels, including for planes, are adequate across the whole Union.
And while Canadian airlines say they have supply, they aren't immune to the price.
We don't see any situation where we think we're going to see last-minute deals or any price drops over this summer. It's going to be an expensive summer to travel.
If anything, the supply chains, the stocks are just getting worse and worse. The only solution to this now is a resolution in the Straits, which will take months to have effect, and demand destruction. And that's why we're going to see more and more airlines cancelling flights.
All this means an expensive summer to travel, with fuel and fare increases at home and fewer options abroad. Anis Haidari, CBC News, Calgary.
Well, the time of springing forward and falling back may soon be over in Alberta. That province wants to join other Western governments in doing away with seasonal clock changes. Aaron Collins explains why reaction to the plan is mixed.
For this Alberta grandfather, time will now stand still. Clocks across the province will no longer swing forward and back.
Whenever there's a time change, without a doubt, just like clockwork, we get a customer who calls in, you know, I cranked my clock back and now it's not working.
Still, those customers divided on the move.
I don't got to get up any earlier now to go to work once a year.
I'm not a fan of it because I'm an early riser, and I heard that in the winter now it's going to be 9 a.m. till the sun rises.
Alberta has flirted with scrapping seasonal time changes before, narrowly defeating the idea in a referendum in 2021. The government deciding now is the time to act.
If the House passes the bill, then yeah, it's fair to say Albertans have changed their clocks for the last time.
Alberta following BC, which ran out the clock on the time change debate last month.
We are finally here, probably to the great relief of most British Columbians.
Perhaps a sign of the times out west. The Northwest Territories now saying they'll ditch time changes too. But Saskatchewan is the real pioneer here, passing the Time Act in 1966, waiting 60 years for its western neighbor to see the light. But permanent daylight saving time could have a darker side for some Albertans. On the shortest day of the year, Edmontonians won't see the sunrise until nearly 10.
The ones that will suffer the most will be the night owls that have that 8 to 4 or 9 to 5 job, that they're already getting up earlier than their body wants.
Alberta sticking to one time will bring the country a bit closer together, sort of. During the winter, at least, Albertans will be an hour closer to Ontarians, even those in Ottawa. Back at the clock shop, the shift could have an added bonus.
I look around here, I see a lot of clocks. One would think not having to change them twice a year is good for you.
Yeah, it definitely saves us a lot of time.
Time saver.
Yep.
Aaron Collins, CBC News, Calgary.
He had a deep-rooted love for Manitoba, children, and for reconciliation. Now students at 2 Manitoba schools will learn more about Murray Sinclair's legacy at schools bearing his name. We'll have more on that ahead. A French immersion school in Sage Creek will now be known as École Mijanagijik, the spiritual Anishinaabe name of the late Murray Sinclair. Sinclair was a senator and renowned Manitoba lawyer and judge who led the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. He died in 2024. I spoke earlier with his son, Negan Sinclair. Here is a part of that conversation.
This is one of two schools in Manitoba that are going to carry Dad's name. The other one is in his hometown of Selkirk. That one's actually going to be his English name, which in Selkirk many people knew him by, but this is his spiritual name, his Anishinaabe name, which means the one who speaks of pictures in the sky, Mijanagijik School. It's a brand new building. It's a wonderful, dedicated team over there of teachers, and they've already had a name for a number of years, and so they're going to put that to rest and raise Dad's name in a few weeks. And so it's a school that's been dedicating itself for a while now to issues of reconciliation and working between Indigenous peoples and Canadians and building those relationships. But it's also, of course, just a school of excellence with academic excellence and incorporating all those things at the same time. Very excited, very honored, and really pleased that people care so much about Dad's legacy. And you know, Dad spent his whole life going to every courtroom, boardroom, often living rooms, but he particularly loved classrooms. He loved spending time with young people, and so to have schools named after him, I think he would be very pleased and be very honored about that. He dedicated his life to always helping young people. There's a famous story about my father. He'd always carry a bubble machine in his truck, and so he'd go to gatherings, very serious events, TRC, national events that involve a lot of serious issues, but he'd always have this bubble machine in his truck. And so while everyone was discussing important, very serious things, he'd be out in the lobby of the hotel or out in the front yard or in some kind of space in front of the community centers, firing up his bubble machine, getting the youth to enjoy themselves. And so he really cared a lot about that.
Was it important to your family that one of them carry his spiritual name as well?
Of course, yeah, no, of course. It's important that, we use all the different ways that we refer to him. He's very proud of his English name too, and his Anishinaabe name was something that he carried alongside his English name, and so to have two different schools named after each part of him is, I think, very, very sacred, but also really valuable that one's in his hometown, just a few streets from where he grew up, just a few blocks from where he had his legal practice, and of course the place that he cared very deeply, where his grandmother raised him right on the banks of the Red River. My dad cared very deeply about this place. He was in many ways what you'd call a person who was the proudest of Canada. He would frequently say this is an incredible place, but it's a place that needs a great deal of work, a great deal of care, and most importantly, empathy, understanding, kindness with one another.
Speed skaters flashing Canada's colors of red and white along with gold and bronze hit the ice in Brandon last night. It comes after a successful Olympic Games in Italy. 2 Team Canada Olympians joined fans for a free public skate and a few races. The speed skaters weren't hard to miss, but they were hard to catch. CBC's Michelle McDougall didn't lace up her skates, but was ringside with those who did.
Watching an Olympic speed skater on television is one thing, but the chance to go stride for stride and shoulder to shoulder with one was pretty exciting for Alexander Fouliard.
Yes, there's 2 different Olympians. And I really enjoyed skating with them. It was very nice.
The 2 Olympians are Anders Johnson and Valerie Malte. Malte and Johnson represented Canada at the Milano Cortina 2026 Winter Olympic Games in short and long track speed skating.
Come on around, come on around.
While in Brandon, they spoke at 2 elementary schools, joined the public skate at the Sportsplex, and shared techniques with members of the Westman Speed Skating Club.
I like to go fast. I think that's the purpose of our sport.
Malte won gold in the women's team pursuit and 2 bronze medals in the women's short and long track events. It was Johnson's first time as an Olympian, but he and his team won gold at the Worlds.
I was just so grateful for the opportunity to represent Canada, to be on the start line. Got to compete this time. I was close, but next time I want to contend for that medal. So.
Johnson and Malte are part of the Medals on Tour event with 11 athletes visiting 6 Canadian cities. After the skate, they signed gloves, helmets, and posters, answering questions about how hard they have to train and what it was like to stand on the podium.
We went into these Olympics and it's like, what does it mean to define to defend an Olympic title. And for us, it was to make the race that we would be proud of. It was never about the result.
Malte is on her way to Victoria for one last skate, meet and greet. And Johnson will soon be heading back to training at Alberta's Olympic Oval. Michelle McDougall, CBC News, Brandon.
Well, if you're looking for a job, it might be worth the trip to Steinbach. Dozens of businesses in the city are looking to fill empty positions. The Chamber of Commerce says there are more than 100 job postings in that city. Barkman Concrete was one business at Tuesday's job fair looking for workers.
Definitely within Steinbach, I've noticed that growth and seen that growth. Within Barkman, we have had growth over we're hiring fairly consistently throughout the year.
There are a lot of different businesses that are looking to hire in a lot of different industries, manufacturing, healthcare, retail, a lot of positions that are open, and not just entry-level positions. They're looking for a bunch of different levels.
The fair is designed to connect employers with job seekers, many of whom are looking for jobs close to home.
The future is looking more and more uncertain, especially for younger people, for the younger generation. With gas prices going up, housing prices going up, food going up, a lot of us are feeling the pressure to become local more and more in a sense.
Steinbach is one of Manitoba's fastest growing cities with a population that's doubled over the last 20 years. Well, a massive sinkhole has opened up on a street in the Chalmers neighborhood. This doozy is on Washington Avenue near Watt Street. The city says a large water main break caused the sinkhole and damaged some underground infrastructure. Water has been shut off to a small number of properties nearby while it gets repaired, and a temporary water tank has been brought in the meantime. Well, Mother Nature teed up the perfect conditions for golfers today. They got an early start at Shooter's driving range. The city's golf courses are also set to officially open for the season on Saturday. People can already book tee times for Canoe Club, Crescent Drive, Kildonan Park, and Windsor Park golf courses online or by phone. There are also special rates on green fees at all of those courses except Crescent Drive until May 9th. Time to dust off those irons, at least for a couple days here in the city.
We're getting into some cooler air, so it was a nice taste, I guess,
of the season. Teas.
Yeah, for sure. I think a lot of pups as well, probably basking in some of the sunshine that we've seen in parts of southern Manitoba. Let's start with the dog walking forecast, then we'll get more into what we can expect with some of the very winter-like weather that's moving into northern Manitoba. Tonight, Sachi, I think, is probably pretty eager and probably enjoying some of this weather that we've seen. Thank you, Louise, for sending this picture in. You can send your pics, as always, to talkback@cbc.ca. So prepare for what I'll call a rinse and repeat of today through the day on Thursday, with the added risk of some isolated showers or some scattered thunderstorms as we get through the day tomorrow. So up to 23 degrees in Winnipeg by the afternoon, looking at south winds starting quite breezy first thing. Then we'll see things backing off a little bit. Just know, though, that we are looking at winds starting to kind of come in and out here, kind of like we saw today across parts of southern Manitoba. I did want to show you the snow depths because I was talking about this a little bit earlier with some of the double-digit temperatures and some of the very warm temperatures we've seen. It's really remarkable just how much we've seen our snowpack really recede in parts of southern Manitoba thanks to those warm temperatures, and that is really leading to a fairly rapid melt in parts of the province, in particular in parts of the Parkland, Roblin, Russell, where we've seen some washouts on roads because of that rapid snow melt in some of those higher elevations all running downhill. So certainly causing issues for some in parts of the province, while others, as we saw there, enjoying some golf even on a day like today in southern Manitoba. I did want to show you a look at the orange level watches and warnings once again, because there's a lot to break down here with the potential for freezing rain or some mixed precipitation through parts of north central Manitoba, further north into Thompson, Gillam, Lynn Lake. This is a significant snow event as we get through not just the next 24 or 48 hours, but really taking us right into the weekend, hence why Environment Canada has issued these at the orange level because of how prolonged and how significant some of the impacts from this system could be as we get through the next few days here. So your overnight forecast looks like this. Partly to mostly cloudy skies across southern Manitoba. A chance of a few scattered showers or some rumbles of thunder, particularly the further east you are in the province. 12 degrees overnight in Winnipeg, 7 in Gimli with an east wind overnight tonight. And that potential for freezing rain as temperatures dance around the freezing mark in northern Manitoba. And we'll see that snow and some of that mixed precipitation pushing through as we get through the day tomorrow, ramping up as we get into the day on Friday before we start to see things tapering off. In southern Manitoba, totally different story. Yes, breezy at times. Will be into more of a mix of sun and cloud. And looking at the potential for some scattered showers through the afternoon, particularly in the west. And as we head into the evening, the potential for some isolated thunderstorms really through the Red River Valley and east into northwestern Ontario. Your 7-day forecast is coming up next, Brittany.
Thank you, Riley.
You're welcome.
Still ahead, she loves daycare so much she couldn't bear to miss a day. How this adventurous pup took herself on a little trip. We'll look at that when we come back. Stay with us.
All right, look at radar across southern Manitoba, where we have seen, as expected, some scattered showers starting to push in. Not expecting any major rainfall accumulation, at least in the south. As I said earlier in the show, this is certainly a story over the next couple of days. Next couple or several days, I should say, into parts of northern Manitoba. Can't rule out odd rubble and thunder as we get through the evening tonight. And once again, as we get into Thursday, temperatures at around 23 by the afternoon tomorrow in Winnipeg. And then as this system departs, or I guess goes into retrograde and dies off over parts of central Manitoba, we do get into some cooler air, single digits Friday, Saturday, and another chance of showers into Monday. A Regina Husky has become a bit of a celebrity after she walked herself to doggy daycare.
And while it's true Missy really likes her daycare, we discovered there's also some puppy love involved. Here's your Daily Lift.
Missy was staying home that day because she had a vet appointment. She usually comes Mondays to Fridays. It was just before 11. I looked up and I saw this dog running around in the parking lot. I'm like, oh my God, there's like a dog loose in the parking lot.
Honestly, we were just very surprised to see her. We were told that she wasn't coming, so the fact that she just happened to show up on her own was very shocking.
Dad and her bike here every single day. So she's very familiar with her route. She has a specific routine, obviously. She was like, it's Monday, I'm supposed to be at daycare.
I could tell from the window she was very upset with me that I decided to leave without her. Missy had dug her way out under the back gate and took herself to daycare because and it sounded like she just followed the route that we normally take in the morning with a bicycle. She really enjoys daycare. Even when I drop her off in the morning, they're really good with her. She just shows up with her tail wagging. Well, we call it butt wagging because she's wagging, but her butt's moving too. She's so excited. And that's just Missy, though. She's like that all the time. Even to see us at the end of the day, she's excited all the time. The big thing is at least she was safe.
We figured that she went digging because her paws and her face and everything were quite muddy. So we thought we might as well give her a little spa day, clean her up, make sure she's going home in good condition. We got a lot of very sweet comments about how it's very clear that we care for the dogs and we love them. So it's been really nice to have people notice how much effort we put into the care for the dogs here.
Missy's day out, full of spa treatments. And you know what? It's so nice to see because you know that she must really love that daycare.
Yes, and knows her routine
exactly.
Very clearly.
Oh, we love to see it. She had quite the adventure.
Quite the day.
Right?
One for the record books.
Well done, Missy. Glad to see that you're home safe and sound. We'll see you back here tomorrow on streaming as well. Have a great night.